water cycle and climate dynamics. So coming on to the first slide, it's just a little bit intro of myself, and there is a diagram on the right side which shows you about the importance of water cycle in our whole all over the world. So what is water cycle? The continuous movement of water between the atmosphere, whether it's land, oceans, and underground, because it is mainly driven by solar energy. Energy means like it is sun basically and gravity, because there is a huge role of gravity for the water cycle. It connects rainfall, as we see rivers, groundwater, soil moisture, plants, and oceans. So now we are coming on to the main uh, process of the water cycle. First step is everyone really know about it. This is evaporation. Water changes from liquid to vapor. How is it possible? It is basically whether water is from ocean, whether water is from lakes, whether water is from rivers, anywhere where water is present in the form of liquid, it converts into the vapor. This process is known to be the evaporation. Now, on the second step, it means transpiration. Plants also releases water vapors in the atmosphere. So this procedure is really very simple. In the next slide, we will also discuss the whole water cycle concept. So condensation, when water is evaporated from liquid into the air, then it forms clouds. Condensation process basically can be possible by both evaporation and transpiration. So, what is now precipitation? Rain, basically, it's a rain. Uh, it might be a slow snow or hail, anything. Infiltration. Infiltration is basically a process in which water enters into the ground through soil and runoff, that water which flows from over the land into the rivers, lakes, or ocean. So, this diagram is right now very important at the moment. From the left side, this is condensation. Condensation is basically the formation of cloud by which we receive the precipitation, or we can say that it's a rain. What is evaporation? Evaporation generally it forms. Sorry, there is a little bit problem from my side. So evaporation. Evaporation is simply water converts into the vapors from the surface of ocean, lake, or any river. You can say the dams as well. Then you can say you can easily see this in the picture. Soil moisture. You can infiltration. Infiltration is basically the percolation of rainwater, or it might be the water of the lake, water of the ocean, which percolates through the seepages uh, underground. Now we are coming on to the next slide. This is climate dynamics. At last, after discussing both the things, water cycle and climate dynamics, we can compare both of them. Climate dynamics examines basically how Earth's atmosphere ocean, land, whether it's ice, and biosphere interact. Key drivers of climate dynamics basically are solar energy. It is like sun, greenhouse gases. Uh, it can cause a huge impact on the climate as well. Ocean circulations, clouds can also be an important part, and atmospheric circulations. These interactions determining long-term patterns of temperature and precipitation. So now we are coming on to the next step, key components of climate dynamics. Number first thing is solar radiation. Sun provides the main energy driving Earth's climate. Sun basically, it's a huge impact. When there are hotter season, we can see a lot of evaporation. So there might be a chance of more droughts or more rainfall. Number second thing is atmosphere moves heat and moisture around the planet and influences temperature and weather, because in air there is also a certain amount of atmospheric uh, certain amount of vapors present in the atmospheric, which may cause rain at higher level also, and there might be a chance of droughts at some areas, because usually it connects it is basically connecting with our regions as well. So number third step is that ocean stores and transport enormous amounts of heat. As we know that almost 97% uh, of the earth is composed of ocean, so there is a huge amount of water which can store heat within it, and it can also cause huge impact on climate. Next is water cycle, because our topic is all about the water cycle and climate dynamics. Water cycle: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, runoff, groundwater. Every step we can see, they have a lot of impact on the climate. So if we are going on to the fifth one, which is ice and snow, especially in the northern zones, or the zone which are not near to the equator, we can mark them like in the northern areas or in the southern areas, we can see a lot amount of ice and snow. So they reflect sunlight and they can absorb also. So when there is a amount of sunlight which is increased by a certain level, so ice is basically melting, so it may be causing a climate more disastrous. Next step is that land surface, vegetation, soil, mountains, and urban areas affect heat and water exchange. Land surface also plays a important role for the climate dynamics. And the last one is greenhouse gases, like we see CO2, carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor influence how much heat is retained in the atmosphere. So coming on to the next slide, water cycle and climate. What is the connection between water cycle and climate? Climate basically affects evaporation. How could it affect evaporation? Like we can simply just we have to think about nowadays in many countries, whether you are talking about Pakistan, whether you are talking about uh, African countries or any other, there is a huge loss of forest as well. Forests play an important role also. There is also one factor which usually uh, we have no we are not talking about so much. That is simply our concrete structure. We are just covering our muddy areas with the concrete. How water can travel into the underground through the seepages? So next thing, water cycle affects climate through clouds, water vapor, and heat transfer. If there is a warmer atmosphere that can hold more moisture, changing rainfall patterns. Usually, we see that according to the report of United Nations or the climate change departments, 2027 will be more hotter year. Why? There are few reasons: deforestation, more concrete structures, uh, different gases. There are also many other factors as well, because our glaciers are melting uh, so fastly that it may also cause a climate change. So some people think that if there are hotter temperature, then there are more chances of droughts. No, not in every case, because there is also the possibility of more flooding to come. No, we just need to realize it by this slide: climate change and the water cycle. Higher temperatures increases evaporation. Yes, it surely increases evaporation, because when there is too much heat, water is evaporated strongly. So there are more chances of more atmospheric moisture. Rainfall can become more viable and variable and intensive. So how could be rainfall be more variable or intense? Because there are huge amount of atmospheric moisture in in the atmosphere. So that is why there is a chance of heavier rainfalls, like in Pakistan. If the people who are from Pakistan, they are listening to this lecture, they really, they can understand during the monsoon we'll have huge amount of rainfall. So we see more floods in Pakistan due to that, because there are higher temperatures, more precipitations, and we also see that glaciers and snow melt patterns are changing day by day or year by year. So we can see that there is also one chance, drought. There might be a chance of droughts as well, especially if we are talking about Pakistan or many other countries as well. We see droughts are coming frequently. Why? There is a complete change in climate. So the last point is a flood and groundwater recharge pattern can also change, because, like in Pakistan, we see the people are using water mostly through the mostly through the bore wells. So our water table is declining day by day. So in future, after 5 to 7 years, we can see a water shortage, especially in Islamabad as well. Although we are seeing in Pakistan, it's a common problem, especially in the mountainous areas like Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Pothohar region. So on to the next slide, Pakistan. Why it matters? Pakistan is basically depends heavily on the Indus River system and seasonal rainfall. Usually in Pakistan, we see a lot of rainfall, especially in monsoon season. Nowadays, it's a monsoon, so we see a lot of rain in this season, especially within a week. If we are collecting the data of the last 7 days, there is approximately 400 to 500 millimeter of rain uh, in the twin cities like Rawalpindi and Islamabad. So we see the floods in, especially in Rawalpindi. So monsoon variability strongly influences floods and water availability. Groundwater is important for agriculture and domestic supply. We need groundwater because in some areas we do not have proper lakes or proper any other irrigation system, so they are totally depending upon the groundwater. So that is why we need to maintain our groundwater to be in much quantity so that our agriculture land will be more usable for the people of Pakistan. Next is climate variability creates risk from both floods and droughts, as we discussed in our previous slides as well. So next thing is that rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting nowadays, a lot of people are talking about the rainwater harvesting. Why they are talking about the rainwater harvesting? Because there is a lot of rain, especially in Pakistan during the season of monsoon. So we see the flooding everywhere, especially in the plain areas, uh, those areas which are near to the rivers, which are not well developed. So rainwater harvesting is one of the major solution by which we can store rainfall and we can use it for our basic needs. From rainfall to groundwater recharge, rain falls on roof, roads, soil, and natural services. Some water becomes runoff. All the water is not going into the ground because for groundwater to be recharged, water need to be at the certain place for a longer time. So by this, there is more chance of infiltration into the soil. So the water which is not infiltrated into the ground, we can save in our aquifers like small dams, uh, and we can also save it in our homes, our industries by using artificial tanks. Rainwater harvesting can reduce runoff and store water for later use. That is the best option, especially in Pakistan or any other country where there is a huge amount of rain, especially in any season, whether it's in a monsoon, whether it's in a summer, whether it's in a winter, we can use. So now we are coming on to the key takeaways. The water cycle is a continuous earth system. When we disturb the water cycle, so it totally disturbs the earth system. Climate dynamics control and respond to changes in the water cycle. So when we are disturbing the nature, then nature also disturb us. Climate change is altering rainfall. Like in Pakistan, I think there are more people who joined us from the other countries. Why I am talking about Pakistan, because uh, according to Pakistan, we make this presentation, and we just see the patterns of rainfalls which are implementing in Pakistan. So climate changing is altering rainfall, like our Pakistani people usually see that in the winters, usually there is a cold temperature in November or December. In the past, no cold temperatures are shifting towards uh, January, February. So there is also that makes a disaster for agricultural industry as well. We need to conserve water, We need to recharge groundwater by using rainwater harvesting installation in our homes in specific areas by using small dams. Small dams are very important for the local community. Now we have to look forward for the rainwater harvesting. What is rainwater harvesting? Rainwater harvesting is the practice of collecting, storing, and managing rainwater from the rooftop. We need to catch that water into the tank. So you can see in this diagram, water basically when there is a rain, uh, will have a rooftop. So all the water on the rooftop is, if it is non-poisonous, non-chemical, so we can collect that water and we can pass it through the filter, and then we can store uh, in a tank, like it's a rainwater tank. It's a simple tank. We can use this water for uh, gardening purpose, for washing of flooring, for washing of cars. And if we treat this rainwater properly, then when we can also recharge groundwater table as well. So it's a basically calculation method of rainwater harvesting. The basic calculation method is, for rainwater harvesting, harvestable waters is equals to rainfall into millimeters, multiply by catchment area meter per square, and then also multiply by runoff coefficient. For a typical roof, uh, we are using zero point 0.8 runoff coefficient. Why? Because all the rain, we cannot collect all of the rainwater. Some water is evaporated, some water is wasted through the leakage, and some other purposes. So it's like a 80%. A runoff coefficient is basically zero point 0.8, means it's an 80%. So basically, in Islamabad, you can also calculate for your cities as well, whether you guys are living in Pakistan or whether you are living in Nigeria, any other country. You can just collect by uh, by taking the data from your uh, department, meteorological department. So there is also the data available on the internet as well. In Islamabad, annually rainfall is about 1143 millimeter per year. If we have a rooftop of 200 meters square, then how much water it can store in a year? 1 lakh 83,000 liters per year in Islamabad. So it's a huge amount. If a small area of 200 meters square can take 1 lakh 83,000 liters of water, then it is a great benefit of for our society. So this is also an image in which we'll have theoretical calculations. You can also take that presentation from the moderator as well. So coming on to the, almost it's a last slide. What major water saving techniques used worldwide? If we see the city, like country, Singapore, main water problems. What are the problems in Singapore? Limited fresh water resources. So what they do, they are recycling that water which is already used. Number second thing is that they are using the technique of desalination. Desalination is basically a technique in which we are uh, we just extract the fresh water by separating the saline through vapors. It's a complete procedure. And then rainwater harvesting. as you see all other cities as well, there are a lot of examples. Their major water problems, the techniques which can be used for that cities or that countries. So there are also written key achievements by which country implements which water technique, they can save water. So this is the presentation for today. uh, Thank you from my side, and thank you from our president, uh, Munir Usmani. Because he's not here, I would like to thank all of you that you are present here. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, Sir Muhammad Usman, for such an insightful and engaging session. You have given us more than information, you have helped us understand how changes in the water cycle translate into real challenges for communities, ecosystems, and our future. And now it's time to bring our audience into the conversation. We'll open the floor for questions. I'll take them one by one.
I raised a question in the chat box as well. I wanted to know what's the difference between climate variability and climate change, and you can, like, in the context of the water cycle. So how can we
Can
differentiate the climate
can
variability and
can you repeat your question, because I think there is a connection problem from your side or mine side. There is an interruption.
okay, am I audible?
Yes, it's an audible.
Okay, so my question was what's the difference between the climate variability and climate change in the context of water cycle, and how can we differentiate that it's water variability and not climate change?
So your question is that what is climate change and climate variability?
Variability, yes. Like
Yes.
how can we differentiate them?
So is there any other question? Because if someone also asks a relevant question, then I can ask answer in a frequently manner. Is there any other?
Is there any other question similar to the one just being asked?
Or relevant? Or relevant also?
Any relevant
Just answer.
question regarding climate change and climate variability in the context of water cycle? No, sir, there is none, I guess.
So, I think question is asked by Kesra Zubair, I think, if I'm not wrong. So, what is climate
Yes.
change and what is climate variability? Basically, climate change, the term climate change is refer for a long term, like uh, we see the changes in average uh, weather patterns over the decades. Like we have the data of weather forecast for over the decades, like of 10 years or more, we can compare by that data. So climate variability means it's a short term fluctuations. Like we see that in summer there is a fluctuation, in winters there is a fluctuation, monsoon there is a fluctuation. That's a short term fluctuation. We can understand climate variability and climate change, especially these are by the data which are previously shown by the weather forecast of the uh, available city. Like I am presently living in Islamabad. I'll have our meteorological department. Like Islamabad have a meteorological department, so we can basically easily see they can use climate change and climate variability data. By using the climate change data, they can also they can also see the changes in climate variability. Is there anything you ask more? Anything, if it is not clear, then I can also.
Yes, I have a follow-up question as well. I was confused that if climate variability is the short-term changes, then what would be the difference between weather and climate variability? Are they then both the same terms that are used interchangeably? Because since weather is also short-term changes in the weather patterns, yes.
Climate variability is basically it's a temporary changes in rainfall. Like we see, for example, we'll have an example. Like in this monsoon, there is a huge amount of rainfall. uh, in the next year monsoon might be very few rainfall, so it's a variability. But when we are talking about climate change, then we'll have the data of past 10 years, then we can compare exactly the monsoon data, like for June, July, August, what is the change. So we can mark. So some sort, for some sort of reason, we can say there is a difference, but we can say these terminologies are not too much far from each other. Is it clear, or still you need more answer or more details?
No, this climate variability and climate change is almost clear. I guess it's just the time span we are talking about. The main difference
Yeah,
is the time
yeah.
span.
Main thing is basically span. It's a time. It's a time cycle.
Okay, so now I have a follow-up question as well. Like, if climate change and climate variability, the main difference is is the time span, then what's the difference between weather and climate variability? Like weather are short-term changes as well. So do we use these two terms, weather and climate variability, interchangeably as well?
So there is also interruption when you are just questioning. I think it might be from your side.
Okay, I'll text in the chat box. I'll drop it there.
You can just.
Okay, so she'll probably drop the question in the chat box while we'll move towards our next question.
Yeah.
If anybody is willing to ask another question, they can unmute themselves and ask the question. If not, I'll try to read the chat box. I'll try to read the questions from the chat box.
So is there any question?
Okay, sir. I'll read the chat box. There are two more questions.
Yes.
I'll read one question for you from Manahil Sadiq. She has raised a question, and the question is: Pakistan has several policies and regulations addressing water scarcity and management. However, the country facing economic challenges. How can policymakers ensure that these laws are effectively implemented and followed without placing additional financial burdens on vulnerable populations? A question raised by Munahil Sadiq. Over to you, sir.
Yes, I'll have two answers for this question. One is in detail and one is basically short. There are policies, and in in government we'll have people who make proper policies. Everything has a policies between the provinces, but we need to implement those policies. That is basically the problem in problem, and we can call it a bad governance by our governing bodies, by our provinces, that we cannot manage our water properly. One thing I need to mention here, specifically for the Pakistan, from Indus River, we basically receive water through this system is around about 145 million acre feet. It's a huge amount of water we are receiving through Indus River system. So, what's our capacity uh, that we can store in our dams or lakes? It is totally around about 13 million acre feet. Pakistan presently has Pakistan Pakistan presently has a huge amount of uh, Pakistan has a sorry, I think someone is calling. I don't know. They are interrupting us. So Pakistan has a amazing uh, scope for storing more water. Like in Pakistan, if we make the dams, Kalabag dams or Diamir Basha Dam, once they are completed, we can store or we can raise our capacity to more than 20 million acre feet. So we need good governance at the moment. There is no problem at all that the policymakers do not do anything. Policymakers already done mostly. So that is the short answer from my side.
Okay, sir. And now we'll move to another question from the chat box. Um, and the question is from Talha Ali Khan. The
Yes.
question he raised in the chat box is: can trees act as natural water recharge bodies? If so, can planting more trees maintain and improve underground water levels?
Uh,
That
it,
is a
it's a
question from
it's a
Talha Ali.
nice question. It's a nice question because we need to understand in if someone of the participant who are from the northern areas or hilly areas, they really know about the importance they really know about the importance of the trees, because when we are just cutting the trees there are more chances of floods in those mountainous area. When there are trees basically soil absorbs water, and it can also help to stop water or to just cut the energy of water. So it has a huge impact on it has a huge impact to control the flooding as well. So we need to plant more trees, we need to plant more forests, we need to maintain our forests for better nature, for better cycle. That is that is absolutely amazing.
So, there was this question raised earlier by Kesra Zubair.
Yeah.
Here is a follow up question: what's the difference between weather and climate variability? Since weather is also short term changes in the atmospheric parameters, so how would we can differentiate weather and climate variability if they both are short term changes? How can we differentiate them?
It's a very simple. I think Kesra Zubair also have a amazing question because it's a technical question. We can ask basically it a technical question. Weather and climate variability, both are both are for short term, but weather is what is happening right at the moment or what is happening within a few days, like 7 days. When we are just scrolling on the weather forecast, any application or using uh, world weather, so we just see upcoming pattern about 15 days, for 7 days, for present 24 hours. So for for very shorter time, the terminology is used weather. The weather terminology is basically used. But when we are talking about climate variability, it's about a more months, it's about a year. So I think she will be more clear after listening to this. And one more and one sorry one more thing that I just want to answer also, which is climate change. Climate change is basically for longer terms, like for the decades. It's a data for the 10 years, more than 10 years, or around about 10 years. So I think she now, she's basically, she will be clarity, she have a clarity about climate change, climate variability, or weather. Is there any question or any misunderstanding from Kesra Zubair? She can answer.
Ma'am Kesra, if you have any misunderstanding still, you can still ask or ask in the chat box. Okay, let me check. I don't think there is anything else left from Ma'am Kesra Zubair. Sir, there is another question which has been asked here in the chat box by Ahmed Vatu.
Yes,
The, the question is, how does a low income country handle water issues?
it
A
is totally.
question by Ahmed Vatu.
It's an amazing question. Uh, its answer is very simple. It is totally depending upon where you are living. Whether you are living in an urban city, whether you are living in a rural city. Because in rural area, people usually dig, just like you can say it's a pond, and they can store water. So it's a low cost solution. They can use water from that. In urban areas, we can, today in our presentation we also discuss uh, in a detail about the rainwater harvesting. So we can harvest rainwater at our homes in a low cost. So this is basically the best possible solution at the moment. If we are just if we are just waiting for the government to do uh, larger projects like building up of dams, so it is not an easy. Building a dam needs a huge cost and huge time also, labor also, everything. But we need to do the shorten solutions right at the moment, because we have less time. We do not have a huge time, so we can just wait for the larger projects to be done in a time. So that is the simplest answer which we can ask to Ahmad Batus.
Okay, so there was a question asked earlier regarding the plants. Can trees act as natural water recharge bodies? Well, being a forester, I think that I should be dropping an opinion on it with all due respect and your permission, sir.
Yes, yes, they can ask, because we are also here for learning as well.
Well, I am the forester, and I think that I should be dropping this thing here because it's necessary to understand. Uh, Look, Talha, I want to make sure of one thing, that it doesn't mean if you are planting comparatively more trees, it doesn't mean that it'll automatically improve the underground water levels. The thing is that there are